Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back. It's your boy Pathis. Oh, that's terrible. We'll keep it in anyway. Here again with five more chapters that I believe belong in Dead by Daylight that nobody's talking about. Now we're gonna go ahead and start off strong with one that's probably one of my favorites. Is also probably one of the least talked about series in Tecmo that isn't Dead or Alive, and we're talking about, of course, Tecmo's Deception. For those who don't know, it was a video game that revolved around you playing a trap-based killer in various locations. The first one was in PS1, and then with PS2 and beyond. Um, I believe that we should be focusing the killer as the character from the second game, Kagero, which is Millennia. Now, any of the characters from the Deception series could be, or main characters could be the killer, but she has a very iconic look. It could very well be suited as a killer in Dead by Daylight. There isn't a strong character I would say makes a good survivor in this chapter, although I could be wrong. You let me know in the comment section below if I am overlooking a strong character from the series, survivor wise. As far as maps, definitely would say that the opening mansion in the second game would be a good map. Although, if you look at the series, there's a lot of really good locations that could be turned into Dead by Daylight maps because a lot of them do loop around on themselves. So it wouldn't be too terrible to bring something to life. But map, no map, I'm okay with. Survivor, no survivor, I'm okay with. But definitely Millennia. She is a trap based killer, and I think that is something that Dead by Daylight has kind of stopped doing, and we should really get a more dynamic trap killer back in. Throughout the course of the game, you get a variety of different traps, floor traps, wall traps. You have things like arrows you can shoot, vases to drop on people's heads to blind them temporarily. You had magnet traps that kind of pulled people in. There could be a variety of different traps, and her add-ons could augment the traps, making every run-in with this killer a unique experience depending on what add-ons they brought in. I think a dynamic trap killer would be a great addition to Dead by Daylight, especially one that had a multitude of different traps they could set on the map to really keep you on your toes. Now, for the second, and moving on to the second chapter, this one is actually just a survivor-only chapter, and that would be Fatal Frame. They just did a remake of Fatal Frame 2, so I believe that it'd be good to look at Mew and Mayu. I'm probably saying the name wrong. I do apologize. From the second Fatal Frame game. Uh, so Fatal Frame, of course, a really great horror game with most of the antagonists being ghosts. So I don't particularly see a character in that that's a strong killer, but definitely be a really good for a set of survivors. This also gives a chance to bring in either as a new item or perhaps as a perk the Camera Obscura, which would be a great addition to something new to play around with in Dead by Daylight. As far as maps, I think the Haunted Village from Fatal Frame 2 was a really good pick. It's nicely sized and could definitely be opened up a little bit for something like Dead by Daylight. It's got also some really nice elevations that aren't just hills, which I think is something Dead by Daylight really needs to lean in towards more, is maps with actual like elevations. So we can use perks that actually revolve around heights with so I think that would be good. As far as perks, stuff like that, not don't know for the Fatal Frame girls. I'm pretty sure there's a lot that has to do around with the gameplay, capturing ghosts, surviving, stuff like that would be really good. Don't want to go too much into perks with these things because I'd be here forever. Third suggestion, and this would be one that is interesting because I went around about it and I was like, well, maybe just another survivor only chapter, maybe just a killer chapter, but why not do something a little different? I want to talk about the American McGee's Alice, specifically the sequel, Madness Returns. And I want to pose that the killer and the survivor are the same person. Now, in the game, if you don't know, and I won't get too heavily into spoilers, but Alice kind of exists in a regular world and she goes into Wonderland to kind of escape a lot of trauma going on in her life. So having the idea of two different Alices would be an interesting play. I have always thrown the idea of the killer and the survivor being the same person at different points, maybe in their life, in their journey, or whatever. But I think this would be a really good one. I know we've done Alice in Wonderland themed cosmetics before, but I think something stronger and recognizable, like the American Mickey's Alice, would be really awesome. And having Alice with the utilizing the weapons she had in the game, like the hobby horse or the teapot, would make for an interesting set of powers. We could utilize the different weapons she has, kind of switching between them, each of them doing something different. A nice set for powers. Like you give her anything from a range of mobility to long range attacks. For maps, I think the hedge maze, the rose maze in the games would be pretty cool. Not a necessity. Are some really strong levels in the American McGee's Alice games, but the hedge maze would probably be pretty iconic. And now for the fourth one, I want to go for an original chapter. I want to pitch something original that's I think that Dead by Daylight could really utilize, which would be a Chinese-based killer, which would be Daji, the fox demon from Legend. There's a lot of mythology about Daji, and I don't want to go into a huge deep dive again because I don't want this video to be like 30-40 minutes long just about Daji. But she's a fox-based killer like the Gumiho or the Kitsune. She was a really nasty character, really rough in Chinese history. She had a lot of powers from shape-shifting to illusionary magic to just black magic in general. And I think another shape-shifting killer would be pretty cool, especially one that is kind of pulling from not just, oh, this is a Krasu or, a, killer from that is just representative of a legend, but this is a specific legendary character because we know the entity could grab her. As far as maps, really don't see a map for it. Maybe something forest-based or maybe castle-based, and she was basically messing with the Emperor of China at the time that she was active. But I really don't see a map that really could be put in, and I really don't see a strong survivor counterpoint. So it would be a killer chapter only, one where we just focus on Daji herself coming into the fog. And finally, for the fifth pick, and what I think is going to surprise some people, because it's not the pick that most people would say in the genre, this is one that I was turned on to by a close personal friend, is the Doki Doki Literature Club. And before you attack me, first off, like, subscribe, share. I know, big ask, especially coming out with something strong like that. But let me give you the reasoning why, and we discussed this, about why this would be an interesting anime-based style killer to come in. And most people want to say like the Danganronpas and other games that have a lot more vicious a killer. But I think a subtle reality manipulating character like Monica from the Doki Doki Literature Club would be a very understated and really cool killer. Someone who can temporarily warp reality, change some things, mess with people's visuals, or like mess with the environment a little bit, being able to rewrite the trials that she's in. Maybe like temporarily, being able to just delete a palette briefly before it gets corrected, or desync a gen that you have to reinitialize, stuff like that. Stuff that you have to go fix because that's what you had to do in the game, was kind of go back and fix what Monica was doing once you realized what was going on. As for survivors, I was thinking maybe Sayori, who was the main character's best friend. Although if no survivor is picked, that would also be understandable. Or you could pick any of the characters from the Doki Doki Literature Club that was not Monica as a survivor. Maps, don't really see a map. We already have a school base with Midwich, so I don't necessarily see a strong utilization for maps, but I do think definitely as far as killers go, it would be nice to see a killer that, again, it's been proven the entity can take digital characters and make them real. I think giving Monica an actual physical form would be just like all she ever wanted, and absolutely would drive her to obey the entity, because now she's actually real. Now she can make you stay. We can have some pretty cool Moris, add-on skin, stuff like that for her. But let me know what you guys think. Of course, you can always find me on Twitch at Pathis, twitch.com. Of course, please like, subscribe, share. It means the world to me. Thank you guys very much. And until next time, everybody. Bye-bye.